stay a while and listen.
Welcome back to the Agony of Positivity podcast. I am Ross. I am joined by someone.
Nergamos.
What?
Nergamos.
I don't even know what that is, but that'll work.
I took my first name and my last name and I combined them and I made Nergamos.
That's a very hideous name.
Well, it's a very, it's some of the, I think that they do in sci-fi movies. I think they just join together two things and make a name, I think.
There was a thing, and this will go into what we're going to start with today, a long time ago, of like your Star Wars name or a Jedi name. And you take your first name and put it backwards, and then the first car that you had.
Okay.
So I would have been Sora Kira, because the first car I had was an Acura. So, and then obviously you change the pronunciation a little bit, but I was like, that's actually wouldn't be too bad for a name. I would awful lot of syllables, but yeah, hyphen in there.
I would be Nergrado. So it was a Silverado, my first truck, and my last name, right?
Or you could be Los Silverato.
Yes.
If only your first car would have been a Guerrero.
Yes.
Like, who would have saw that one coming? How has your week gone?
Pretty good, I guess. No issues.
I'm about the same boat. Was not feeling super hot last week. Feeling better now.
Yeah.
You had mentioned earlier in the week, to keep our near streak of turkey stuff going, something about a turkey soup and air freshener or something.
Yeah. So we went to my brother-in-law's house last week, I think it was. They just invited us over for dinner or something, and they was making turkey soup out of basically the carcass of the turkey, you know.
Yeah.
And we were eating it.
So do you just take like the remnants of the turkey, throw it in a big pot with water, and just boil it?
Basically, yeah. You basically make a broth-ish, and you put like potatoes or whatever.
Do you put turkey meat in it? Because that'd be weird.
There's already turkey meat kind of on the carcass a little bit, so it kind of falls off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
So we were eating it, and I'm tasting it. I was like, man, this tastes like potpourri, man. And and every once in a while, taste, like, yeah, what is that? I was like, have you wrapped it in a garbage bag? Did you use a scented garbage bag? And they were like, oh, you know what? We might have done that. And that's what they did.
To be fair, I would not have thought of that myself.
Yeah.
And the only reason I remember that is I had to buy trash bags last night, and I noticed that so I get like a 30-gallon trash bag that's got like the diamond design or whatever, but it had a scent to it, and I was like, yeah, if you're not paying attention, if it's scented, you're going to be injecting your turkey soup like that. I wonder if that's like a widespread issue.
Well, probably not a lot of people put their turkeys in a trash bag. But, I mean, to put it in the freezer, there's really no way to do it, to save it.
Well, unless you have, like, an extra, like, if you used an oven bag and it was, like, the 2-pack.
Yeah, I guess you could use an oven bag. Yeah.
That'd be the only, I don't know, though, because I'm assuming you don't want it to freezer burn. So, I don't know if...
Well, I think that's why you would put it in a trash bag,
Yeah, you get a little extra coverage.
Yeah.
I don't know the science of freezer burn, but... Either way, yeah. So, but was it still pretty good despite the potpourri taste?
Didn't eat it.
Huh?
We did not eat it. We didn't eat it. I was like, I don't know what they put in that put in that trash bag to make it smell good. So
right.
I am not eating the chemicals.
It's probably for the better.
Yes. So,
That is unfortunate, though.
Yep.
It has taught me a lesson. Like, I don't know that I would ever store anything in a trash bag like that, but I could see where that would be the most convenient bag. So now I will be aware of the scenting.
Kind of like you said, I probably would have used a turkey bag maybe, but
Right.
I have seen people do that before to save the turkey carcass for turkey soup before. Apparently, you never had turkey soup before, right?
So when you originally told me this, I immediately kind of had an idea that it was using the leftovers from the turkey in some way, but it was like I did not know this was a thing. I never would have thought of this in my life.
Yeah, so I've seen people do it before, put it like a little trash bag type thing to keep it preserved. But yeah, nowadays our trash bags are scented. So
Super weird. All right, so this week we are going to start out with the Mandalorian episode from last night, episode 7 of season 2. I have no idea what chapter number it is because that's weird to me. And then there was more Star Wars announcement this week. And I think there is Star Wars that already exists. So we're going to talk about that some.
Just pretend that we did a Star Wars bumper. And then
I was going to like hum some music like dun, 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 so that we don't get attacked by Disney. They actually send
Disney
Boba
would
Fett.
be all over that.
Yeah, they literally send Boba Fett now. Like
Yes.
that's the bounties he looks for. So, let's see. I will do one of our TV things here. So here we go.
Maybe I could move the Earth out of the way. If we had a week, I couldn't list all the reasons that.
King Shark is a shark.
Not the beast!
Let's rock.
All right, so we get the continuation from last week, where they are asking about Mayfeld, I guess, which was, if you remember from the end of last season, super despicable character, I thought.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, he was very shady.
I was sad that he did not get killed.
Yes.
Like, he seemed like a character to me that needed to die.
But after watching this week's episode, I'm like, wow, I'm kind of glad they let this guy live.
Obvious spoiler warning at this point. We haven't really given too much away yet, but just in case, like, I don't know how you could talk about the episodes without spoilering it. So, like, that'd be the most vague. You know, there was that one part of the show where that one thing happened. Oh, yeah, that was really neat.
Yes.
Like, that's all you'd really be able to say.
Yeah, basically. So if you have not seen this week's Mandalorian, do not listen to this podcast because we are going to ruin it for you.
Yes, unless you don't care about spoilers. But
yes,
I don't know. Like, these episodes are pretty fun to watch play out. So
yeah, like the only episode that I have not enjoyed this season is thought that was meh.
Which one?
The spider episode.
Oh yeah, I mean that one kind of served a purpose, but yeah, it's definitely the weak link to the chain so far.
Yep. Which is
all
pretty good considering out of 2 seasons now, you only have one okay episode, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, they've been doing a real good job. So from last week, we had Mando had got a hold of Cara Dune to basically try to get a hold, like, to find Mayfeld, I guess, is the best way to put it. So they go to, like, some prison planet that he's on doing hard labor.
Yes.
Nice to see that that's what all societies go to at some point.
Yes.
But basically they kind of tell him what's going on and what they need him for. And once they told him about Moff Gideon, he was basically like, I'll just stay here. No thanks. They eventually, like, they convince him, and that pretty much sets us off because they're trying to get the information on finding Moff Gideon.
Yep.
So they're going to go through I don't remember the name of the planet.
So a little sidetrack, maybe not too much sidetrack, but my wife told me last night. She goes, "What is the thing with villains in Star Wars that they have to wear capes?" I was like, and I'm like, it just makes them look cooler. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, capes are sweet.
Yes.
And generally, the villains are super overpowered. So the cape is probably their theatrical things. And it's not going to get in their way.
Yes.
Because I assume the Darksaber is just going to wreck anything normal that he's going to run into.
Yes.
It is weird. Well, I was going to say, it is weird that he would be allowed to have that, and at some point, like, the Emperor or somebody wouldn't have taken away from him before that whole thing fell apart, unless he acquired it after that. But it seems like he's had it for quite a while.
Well, yeah, because he had to steal it from the Mandalorian woman. Yeah. She had it in Star Wars Rebels, so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm sure that's addressed somewhere in lore somewhere. I mean, there's so much of it. Yeah. If not, it's going to be probably in the next couple years, I have the feeling, when he gets his own episode or his own show.
Yes, the Moff Gideon episodes, yes.
Yeah. So one of the real interesting things to me on this episode was, and we've talked about it on like super old episodes when we were doing the old format of stuff, is like where you draw the line at things, like what's your breaking point, kind of. And that comes up for Mando in this episode. Yeah. Multiple times. So basically, like, the gist of it is they're going to take out a couple troopers who are transporting like a very explosive material and basically use that to get into the base. And then Mayfeld is going to be able to get the information for the ship that they need. Yeah. But basically they're Trojan horsing in, kind of, I guess you would call it. But it gets to where if there's any record of your face scan or whatever, like, you have to be Imperial, is really what it comes down to. So Mando theoretically can do it, but he has to keep his helmet on.
Well, let's go back a little bit. So when the pirates were trying to take over the shipment,
yeah.
Do you think those pirates are like, okay, they're stormtroopers, so they can't shoot with a crap anyway? And then when they get up, they're like, wow.
Oh, yeah. I was just getting where they were like getting their game plan together.
Oh, gotcha.
Like when they first start it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because Mayfeld's like, I'm not going to do this by myself.
Yeah.
I need somebody else. But no one else is qualified. So that's where, so Mando basically that's where they come up with the plan, and they they take over the shipment, and he ends up putting on the stormtrooper gear, or I don't know what trooper gear that technically is. It's definitely not like a typical stormtrooper.
It's, I guess, cargo troopers.
Yeah, they got pockets on the sides of everything. Yes. So much like the shorts.
Yes.
But yeah, so, and that comes into play. So he's basically taking off the Mandalorian armor, like the top tier Beskar armor for the Stormtrooper armor. And as soon as that happened, I was like, they better address how because we talked about it for like 10 minutes last week, how crappy this armor is by comparison. And when we get to what you were alluding to, I was more than pleased. But so they're, whatever they're transporting, I can't remember the name of the stuff.
Some kind of ore. I don't know.
Yeah, it's super explosive-y. Like, if you go too fast and get too shaky, you'll blow up. Yeah, so basically they got their plan set up. Like, Fett's gonna pull them out once they get to a certain point. They got Fennec and Kara are gonna be like the sharpshooters to cover them at a certain point. And then, like you were saying, so they're going along pretty smoothly, and then all of a sudden they go through a village, and you can kind of tell it triggers something with Mayfeld. Like, kind of the conversation, well, I won't call it, when he talks at Mando, because Mando's just not talking to him, he kind of points out a few things, like, you do things that to try to sleep at night, sort of stuff. And then he starts questioning him about the helmet too, and he's like, "So do you just not take the helmet off, or you do not show your face? Because I thought you didn't take the helmet off, but you took the helmet off to put this one on when things got difficult."
He made a very good point. He's like, because he's like, there are two different things, and I'm like, and I told my wife, I was like, he's correct. He's like, they are two different things. Either you don't take your helmet off at all in front of people, or you don't take your Well, and like the way he put it is like, the circumstances can make you change your mind, basically. Where it's like, for Mando, if that was the case, like it's incredibly important for him to retrieve the child. Yes.
And that is basically kind of testing him as to his beliefs, which is kind of good for it. Like, I'm going to say, like, you don't take your helmet off or you don't show your face is a pretty weird creed.
Sure.
Like, you don't show your face makes more sense to me than you don't take your helmet off. Because, seriously, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's pretty restrictive. But
well, and I forget her name, the one Mandalorian lady, she's like, you guys are a cult. So she's pretty much established that they are kind of extremist type believers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it galvanizes you to whatever your belief is, like, because you got to be pretty hardcore about it. But once you start being faced with certain some scenarios, it's like, what we get to eventually, it's like, all of a sudden, success or failure is based on this, and there's literally no way to do it otherwise. What do you do? But so these pirates, like, so they go through the village, they kind of have like a conversation throughout it, but the pirates are coming after them, and I can't tell if the pirates wanted the shipment or if they wanted to just blow them up because they don't like the Imperials on their planet.
I got the impression they just wanted to blow them up because they don't like the Imperials on their planet.
It's kind of what I was leaning to, but them calling them pirates makes me immediately go to they're trying to steal something. And it could be they just want to salvage the equipment that they can after they blow them up or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so either, like you were saying, like, oh, these stormtroopers can't hit anybody.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, freaking Mando pops out. It is just wrecking them.
Yes.
I wish they would have gone into more detail. Like, I wish Mando was more talkative with Mayfeld, to where they could have, like, actually had, like, a brief, like, lighthearted conversation about the difference between the Beskar and the Stormtrooper armor.
Yeah, that would have been pretty funny.
To where he's just sitting there like, this is awful. Maybe we'll get it in the next episode, like where they're trying to get where Mando and Fett are talking about it and just making fun of the Stormtrooper armor. Just something. Because to hear it from like like someone who's used like possibly the best armor in the galaxy, I don't know, or like one of the highest tier, to then go to that, it'd be a funny conversation. I think you could do if you wanted to inject some humor. But yeah, like, because did you notice at the one point, the one guy, all he does is like swing a staff at him, and he goes to block it with his forearm, and it just wrecks. He's just like, oh.
It shatters
like,
it.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm so pleased that they did that. But yeah, just in general, like, that armor is garbage.
Yep.
Like, the blaster runs out of ammo. I didn't know that it worked that way.
I understood why they did it, because they wanted him to do more hand-to-hand combat. But I'm just thinking, why would you not have more, blasters with you or something? I don't know.
I think it was I think you're right. It was one, the hand-to-hand stuff, but to show that he is somewhat reliant on the armor, but he's completely capable on his own. But the armor just really puts him way above everybody.
Yeah.
Or not everybody, but like your average person you're going to run into. Like, he can take care of him on his own, but if he has the armor, it's not even a threat to him.
Yes.
Kind of thing. because like they were getting some shots on him, and it was it was registering. Because even when like towards the end when Mayfeld, because he it's basically like they're laying siege, he's fighting them off, but he's like gets blown back by this explosion, and sees a bunch more of them coming. And Mayfeld's like, I can't get across this bridge without slowing down. He has like a gauge that's showing this thing's getting ready to explode if he doesn't chill. And you can just tell like the body language with the like a sigh that he's like, I'm gonna have to try to fight all these people off further. Like you can tell he's had enough. And
well, and it was interesting that they kind of made the Empire for a moment kind of the good guys, because they came in to rescue Mando and everything with the X-Wings.
No, right? TIE fighters.
TIE fighters.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's weird when you see, they flipped it, because normally, like, I'm fairly well conditioned to root for the Republic. You see the X-Wings come in and, like, do, like, a strafing run on something. You're like, all right. TIE fighters show up, and they're the good guys in the situation. Yes. Very interesting. But then what I noticed immediately was those pirates are stupid. So you just got strafed by 2 TIE fighters. Yes. And then a bunch of troopers come out. Yeah. And you have staffs, basically. Yes. So you charge them and get mowed down.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming they decided they were on a suicide mission, so they were just going to go all the way with it or something.
I mean, you would think they would have had a point where, like, okay, this is, and I don't know how you would describe this in a TV series, but you would. I think there would be a point of no return. Like, okay, once you get to this point, you got to turn back because you're going to get lit up.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Or it was to show that the Empire is still kind of ruthless.
Yeah.
But either way, like, so the other weird thing, because you don't get to see it a lot, is as they're driving across the bridge into the base, but like all the other troopers are basically saluting them or fist pumping because they fought off the pirates for so long and still got the shipment there safely. Like when you get in, they're all like, congratulating them, and like it's a real weird to see camaraderie within like a bunch of troopers like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not aware that we get shown that a lot.
They had an opportunity to show that in the new movies, and they chose not to.
well, yeah. They had a lot of opportunities. We've said it a million times. The Force Awakens, they set up an awful lot of cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're still sitting there gathering dust. There's spider webs on them. Just waiting. Unfortunately, they locked them in a storage shed. They froze them in carbonite, and
the Force
never
Awakens kind of reminds me of like the Matrix. So the first Matrix, so cool, had so many different routes to go down, and they chose a route that I wouldn't.
The more boring.
Yes. So.
I would agree. Like, I was never the Matrix. Like, I didn't have, like... Technically, I did own a black trench coat.
Yeah.
But I owned that well before the Matrix existed. Because my actual birth father gave me... Like, he had a bunch of leather jackets, and he was like, hey, you want this one? It's like a half-length trench coat or whatever. I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
So when people said, are you trying to be Neo? You're like, no, I'm trying to be the Crow.
It would go back before that even. I did give it away to a Matrix guy though. Like I had or I think I sold it to him, but either way, like he was like super into to Neo, so he wanted a trench coat. And like I had a cool trench coat, so he bought it off me, and then I was happy because I had money. Yeah, nothing. It's too bad that movie ruined Trent. Well, actually, the other people that had
2 idiots.
Yeah, I was gonna say they really messed it up even further. That whole thing. But anyway, back to Mando here. So they get in, And Mayfeld, like, basically they got to go to this computer that does a face scan.
Yeah.
There is someone that he served under, but it sounds like there's minimal chance that they would recognize him. But he just doesn't want to take the chance. It seems real, like, that whole thing seemed real weird, and they pay it off, like, pretty quickly afterwards. But, so Mando's like, all right, I'm going to go do it. He's like, dude, it's got to do a face scan or it won't work. And he's like, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And what is hilarious to me, and it wasn't, I don't think it was meant to be funny, but he walks over to the computer, puts in it's the equivalent to like a USB, I would assume, and it goes to do the face scan, and he just stands there and lets it scan the helmet. Like, did he think that was going to work?
Well, I think he was like, maybe I'm going to try first.
Maybe there's an alien that has this as their face, and this will work. Or was it just like...
It's understandable.
Like, yeah, because he's like, do I really want to break my whole deal to do this?
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, let's give this a shot, and if it doesn't work, that'll buy me some time to really think on this. Yes. And then he gives him, like, 8 seconds, I think was the countdown. Yes. So... and much what Mayfeld was talking about earlier, like, all of a sudden, how important is it to you? Because if he doesn't pull the helmet off and do the face scan, there is no way at this point, because he's already drawn attention, because they're like, who is this idiot over here trying to face scan his helmet? Because, like, you see the one guy in the background kind of point to him or whatever. So he's drawn attention. This isn't going to work unless he does it. So he takes the helmet off, which is only the second time in the show that he's done it. So now, do you think, because obviously, like, he pretty much was put in a situation where he had no choice. Is this the beginning of where he is okay taking his helmet off, or is that going to be something that's going to be hard for him to break still?
I think they're just leading the way to him eventually being like Boba Fett. You just put the helmet on when you're in the battle. Yeah. I think that's what they're working to.
Now, the way they're doing it, because we mentioned during last season where it's like, I hope they don't get to where he's just constantly taking off the helmet. But they're actually going down a route where they've introduced people who do take the helmet off. They've pointed out that the faction he's a part of is the more fanatical, we'll say. Like, it seems like they're doing a pretty good job from a storyline of creating where he realizes maybe he doesn't have to do that. As opposed to just all of a sudden he just stops doing it with no reason. I think that was my fear, is that just all of a sudden he was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, but now he's been presented with like a moral dilemma. On top of other things. But so he does that, he gets what he needs, but the officer comes up to him and is asking him all these questions, and he has, like, they ask him his rank or like what his title is or whatever, and he's like, cargo driver dude, because he has no idea what it's called. And they're like, what's your ID number? And he's like frozen. And all of a sudden, Mayfeld pops up and basically saves him. Because, well, Mayfeld actually knows how to talk to people. And Mandalorian is really not good at that kind of stuff. Well, they're like, you've asked me something that requires like more than a 4-word sentence. I don't know how this is going to work out. He's going to be... Mando's like the child. If he has to say like more than 4 or 5 sentences in a row, he has to take a nap. So basically, like, Mayfeld like kind of makes a story up as to him being hard of hearing or something like that. He recognizes them as the 2 troopers that got the shipment to him. So he's like, let's go get a drink. And then things take a pretty crazy turn. So at this point, the entire episode up until right now, I have been waiting for Mayfeld to totally screw over the Mandalorian.
Yeah, see, I thought Mayfield was going to go into the officer's mess and say, hey.
All right, sorry about that. We had some internet issues there. But yeah, you were about to say, like, when Mayfeld went into the officer's lounge?
Yes. I thought that he was going to betray Mando there.
Yeah, like, that would have been the ideal spot for it. Yep, but he basically saved his bacon. And then they go to... Also, Mandalorian is now called Brown Eyes, I guess.
Yes.
So, I can't wait for that to be a recurring thing. But yeah, so they go... So the officer wants them to have a drink. And when they sit down, like, it starts out kind of civil, but you can tell it's kind of uneasy.
Yeah.
And then Mayfeld just tears into him. Like, talking about how one of the things he served for, like, the amount of people that died, the innocent people that were killed, like, all kinds of stuff.
Well, and the way they have Mando, like, look back and forth, kind of like, oh, crap, he's losing it.
Yeah.
Type thing. You can just see it in his face.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is about to go real bad.
Yes.
So what makes it even crazier to me is, so Mayville basically, like, reads this officer like the riot act about how terrible it is. And then I think something to the effect that the officer is like, and we're still here and they're not. That's great. Like, did you not... like, way to read the room. This guy is really not happy with you.
When he does that, that's when it just snaps. He's just
because I thought maybe at that point that Mayfeld and Mandalorian were maybe gonna, like, kind of laugh and then take, like, the drink and then leave. Yeah, but Mayfeld just like you said, lose it. He just shoots the dude point blank.
Yeah.
And then I like where that happens. There's, like, one other guard that he shoots.
So, and no one's going to have the argument that Mayfield did not shoot first.
Well, in 20 years from now, when we remaster The Mandalorian, to 27K or whatever we're at the time.
Yes.
I did like, though, there's, like, another trooper that comes walking in.
Yeah.
And they just do, like, a close-up on his face where he's like, I read it as, like, that guy thinking, do I really want to be involved in this? Because this is bad news. Something really crazy is going on. But then it's too late. So they have... It's basically like, did you ever play any of the Hitman games?
Yeah.
Where ideally you should probably try for stealth, but then you, like, make one real bad decision, and all of a sudden you're just trying to kill, like, 40 people to get out of the level.
Yes.
That's pretty much what happened here. So they, like... It's weird to think of space facilities as having, like, windows to me. Or, like, the vent over the window or whatever. That's basically what it is. So they kick their way out of one of those things. They're shooting people left and right. But then this is where Kara and Finnick show up. Because they're the cover, since they're sharpshooters, basically. I like that they actually had to rely on them. And it wasn't just Mayfeld and Mando. Like, because without them, there's no way they make it out of that. Like, the way they shot it, at least. So I thought that was good. Boba Fett, with his freshly painted armor, swoops in on Slave One. Did it look weird to you that he had kind of brand new armor, it almost looked like?
Not really. I just thought it was, it was needed. It was needed in Return of the Jedi. So, I
kind of like the battle-worn look. Because, like, I don't know. Like, that's just what I associate with Boba Fett. So seeing him, like a repainted, like, I'm just wondering, like, he's just sitting there, like, well, we got a long thing, Do you got any emerald green paint? Like it's got to
So
be
this
this.
is my. This is the role playing that I do in my head that they had a conversation off screen. Mando's like, dude, your armor looks terrible. Why don't you repaint it or something? And Boba Fett, so you know what? I've never done that before. Let me go do that. So, yeah.
What probably happened is Mando was like, the creed that I took, you cannot have that armor if it's in such poor shape. And then Boba Fett was like, here we go.
Yeah.
If I paint the armor, will you leave me alone? And
put a
then,
brand new.
Then Mando pulls out like paint cans, and he's like, "This is the way."
So Boba Fett, he didn't have any electronics in his armor in the original, right?
I believe he did, but they just
did?
didn't really address it because
Gotcha.
like he always had like the comm or the sight antenna.
Yeah.
Like that was part of it, and he had like
No, I'm talking about like the little light sensor that he has in his chest now. I never noticed that before.
oh, I'm not sure. Let's see.
Or was his armor in such crappy condition you just couldn't see it because,
I don't know. Let's see. Return of the Jedi. I'm looking for some images here. This is great. There's a slot for it on one of the figures.
Okay.
It just looks like it wasn't lit up.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, maybe it was burnt out. And Mando's like, hey, why don't you fix that? Because they're like, okay, yeah. It doesn't bother me. I'm sure some Star Wars geek out there, well, that's not accurate to the...
Well, I mean, there's probably a reason for it, but it was just weird because like when he showed up like upside down for his shot on Slave One, I was like, he looks weird. What is it? And then I finally realized that he had touched up his armor some. So, but either way, he shows up and basically just grabs him. It's really weird in the Star Wars universe. There's no smooth pickup with the spaceships. Like, you basically like, all right, I'm going to lower the landing ramp and you got to jump in it. Like, that's your only option. There's no ropes. There's no ladders to grab a hold of like the helicopters. They fly.
I'm so glad they brought back the shockwave bomb that he has. That bomb is so cool.
Yeah. It's someone I saw. So each week I'll pull up on Friday, like I'll get home from work or whatever, and I pull up YouTube and look for if there's like any cool videos or something to watch while I eat. So lately it's been just so much clickbait Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the one for this episode is like, oh, this is why the Imperials didn't shoot down Slave One. And now that I've watched the episode, I didn't obviously watch that, but now that I've watched the episode, it's like, well, yeah, they took out all the gunners. That's why. Like, clickbait titles are so weird to me. Unless there's like some deeper conspiracy that I'm not aware of. But so as they were leaving, though, Mayfeld takes like the super ultra mega rifle. I forget what the name of it is, but the thing that disintegrates stuff. He basically obliterates the entire base. Through like a chain reaction explosion or whatever. And he made the comment, he's like, whatever helps you sleep at night or something like that. But I think that was that finalized his face turn.
Yeah.
I would say. So. So they've successfully got what they wanted. They blew up an Empire base, or I guess it's technically Imperial now since the Empire's done. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then they go back to, I guess, pick up the other two. I'm assuming it was the same planet. But Mayfeld's like, he's ready to go back to prison or whatever they want to call it. But Kara's like talking to Mando, and they're basically just ignoring him. And she's like, it is such a shame that prisoner, whatever his number was, died in that explosion. And then they're continuing to ignore him, and he's like, wait, can I go? and Mando gives him a head nod. I was kind of hoping instead that Cara would have been like, it's almost like I can hear his ghost talking. I hope his ghost gets out of here immediately.
Yeah.
Something like that would have made me laugh. But so they leave. We get a cutscene with. Well, were you surprised that after the way everything played out that they just let him go?
No. I kind of figured that they would.
I thought he might just stay with them.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah.
To basically just have like the full squad, because I don't know how many more episodes there are to the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming only like 2 or 3 more left.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, at this point, Boba Fett and Mando are pretty strong group.
Yeah.
Like, I would assume if you had 2 of them against like your run-of-the-mill Jedi, they'd probably be totally fine.
Sure. Well, I assume eventually we're going to get Ahsoka back.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, between Mando, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, what are they gonna run into? Like, and Darth Vader's not a concern.
That's what I'm saying. You would have to bring back Darth Vader and the Emperor to, I think, to kind of evenly match that.
At this point, yeah, the way they've made them. Because I'm trying to think. Because frickin' Adam Driver ain't it. Like,
no.
That dude is not gonna. Like, I don't think he could take frickin' Mayfeld. But
yeah,
obviously I'm exaggerating there. But like, what a wuss when it comes to the villains. So we get. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, going into like the last scene where Moff Gideon is talking about like they'll welcome back the Empire or whatever. Or actually, that was the other guy, like where they would welcome back the Empire for order. Like, all I remember, even though I watched it like hours ago, I don't remember exactly what he said on that.
Basically, the Mandalorian just told Moff Gideon.
Oh yeah, when he pops up, yeah. Yeah, that he's coming for the kid.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of Rambo.
Yeah.
And Rambo, I don't know which Rambo it was, but he's like basically said, "I'm coming for you, and there's nothing you're going to do to be able to stop me." That thing. So.
I wonder, maybe we're going to get like a Rambo themed episode, like because we've gotten quite a few Western ones.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to get a more Rambo themed. Although this episode kind of was.
Yeah. Did you notice, and I don't mean this to be, degrading or anything, but Cara in this episode, she looked huge. Like, and when I say huge, I mean like just fit, like,
like
big,
like she's gotten into like powerlifting.
Yes.
She always reminds me of trying to think who it is. It's like a combination. So in StarCraft or Heroes of the Storm, there's Sergeant Hammer, and it's like a lady that drives a tank, but she's like pretty like jacked. And then there is an Overwatch. Is it Zenyatta? It's like a Russian person that's like a tank character.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's who I think of.
Yeah. I mean,
like, because she's just like, I know what you're saying. Like, she's big. Like, she would pick you up over her head and throw you.
And I know she's an MMA fighter, but it's just, when I see her in like an interview, she does not look that big like she does in this episode.
Could be the way they shot it too.
Sure.
Because, well, I mean, like, the shoulder pads are going to extend the shoulders a little bit.
Sure.
And they could have just had her stand like a foot in front of everybody.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, she looks like, I noticed that, like, where it was like, she looks like she would just wreck people.
Yes.
All right. So I think that concludes this week's Mando. So during the week, they have apparently announced 400 new Star Wars shows and movies.
Yes.
Basically, every day in 2022, there's going to be new Star Wars content, is what it feels like.
Apparently, yes. Yeah.
All right, so we are looking at the Tech Radar site. That's the one you linked to me. So we're just going to kind of go through this because I don't know if this is good or bad for Star Wars. Like, anytime they start like doing a whole bunch of stuff, it makes me nervous that they're going to mess it up.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get Mandalorian Season 3.
Which, that's kind of a given.
I would think so. We don't know, obviously, until we know how this season ends. We don't even have an idea what to expect. And I think they kind of say that on this page, too. Let's see. There's 2 spinoffs. But yeah, so more Mandalorian. So far, I'm on board with that. They've done really good this season. They brought back Boba Fett. They made Boba Fett not suck. Hard for me to be unhappy about this show so far. Other than I can't have real life Beskar armor. Maybe one day. So they're doing Asuka, or yes, Asuka.
Ahsoka.
Nobody's ready for Ahsoka. So she's gonna get a show. Let's see. So Rosario Dawson reprises her role. So she's looking for Admiral Thrawn, supposedly.
Yeah.
No idea. Like, there's not like a ton of information on this. We got Rain. Oh, sorry.
So
go ahead.
in Star Wars Rebels, it kind of ended where they were looking for Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
So Ezra was like the Jedi in that series that kind of disappeared.
Okay.
Towards the end, so they could go with that storyline where they're looking for Ezra.
Okay, and just start from there and see what they get.
Yeah.
I
guess. Who knows?
Right. Rangers of the New Republic.
I guess Chippendale Rescue Rangers are coming back, I guess.
Yeah, or Green Ranger. They might be able to get Jason David Frank, Green Ranger, to show up. So I'm looking, both same Mando from the Ice Spider. So it's going to be those guys who saved him from the Ice Spiders.
Okay. Yeah.
Who knows? We were talking before the show a little bit. We need like a sitcom Star Wars show. Maybe this will be it, where those 2 guys go on zany adventures.
Sure.
Or what if they did like Cops, but it was like the X-Wing pilots?
Yes.
Because you could make that a fairly serious, lighthearted show and have like some pretty serious episodes. But that would be amazing. Like, that's going to be my vote. It's going to be like Cops, but for Star Wars.
Well, now we said the same thing about Gotham, and Gotham didn't turn out that way. So,
no, that was going to be we wanted a show about the Gotham Police Department, not a show like Cops.
Yes.
Very different. Because I'm thinking like Cops and Reno 911 kind of merge. You get like the crazy, ridiculous stuff, but you also have the serious stuff occasionally.
Yeah.
Because I want something in Star Wars to just be like for fun, and I think you could do it with that.
Agreed.
Obi-Wan. We're getting some Obi-Wan. Christensen returns for Vader.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting.
Yeah, because the original series pretty much said that Obi-Wan stayed on the planet. So, yeah.
Well, they're gonna have to retcon that. So.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we'll have to see the timeline and how they do it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that you can work around to just kind of bypass that, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, this one I'm probably the most optimistic for. But
Obi-Wan?
Yeah, like I think this one has the most. I think this should be really good.
Yes.
Will it? I don't know. Like
Depends who gets their hands on it.
Well, it's one of those things like the Star Wars like there's so much potential. And then you start like fantasy booking it or fantasy writing it in your mind. And it's like, oh, like random dude on the internet had such a better idea than what they actually did for the story.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Next thing we got here is Andor.
This thing.
I have no idea what this is.
I don't understand why people like Rogue One. I thought it was all right, but yeah.
Yeah, so this shit, it's 5 years before Rogue One.
Yeah.
So this has no draw to me. Like, I'm not.
No. I think this is going to be a.
So they got something they're doing. It's called Star Wars Visions. This series of short films on Disney Plus will be composed of anime-style episodes made by acclaimed Japanese creators. Should result in a bunch of fresh new angles on the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, who cares? I don't care about this either.
If they're good, this is one of those things where it's like, it might be good, it might be bad, but if they're trying something interesting, that's fine, as long as it doesn't mess stuff up. The Acolyte, I don't know. Let's see. Set at the end of the recently debuted High Republic era of Star Wars. Co-creator, Russian doll, all this stuff. Not much was said about the show. It's a mystery thriller. We'll see.
Kathleen Kennedy's part of it, so I don't care. She is terrible.
Is she just trying to...
If she has her grubby little paws in this, it's going to suck. So don't matter.
Yeah, you're not giving her much faith.
No, she's terrible. She is. She killed Star Wars until Favreau came in. So yeah.
Okay. We're gonna get the Bad Batch. I have no idea what this is because I've not watched any of the. It's a Clone Wars spinoff. Does this mean anything to you?
I think they were just a bunch of reject clone troopers.
Yeah.
That were really good as a team. So basically, it's like the A-team.
So we'll see how that goes. They're doing a Lando show. There's going to be some naming problems, considering Mandalorian is constantly called Mando. So they're going to explore the Lando character. I don't know. I don't know. I have to see what they do with it. I could see liking it, and I could see totally hating it.
The character that they could have did this with was Han Solo. In the Solo movie, no one really cared about the movie, so I don't know why anybody would care about this Landon. I don't. Whatever.
Right. We'll find out. They might make it good. I would like to see him try to do it with a Rancor, since he's very loose, so to say.
Apparently he's the Captain Kirk of Star Wars.
Yes, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, Captain Kirk was a freak, dude. Like all these species out here in my quest to explore them all.
Yes. I think Riker was trying to pick up that
mantle. He was like, I read about Captain Kirk in this book, and did you know there's no rules stopping us?
Yes.
From this kind of debauchery out here in space.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the more Rogue Squadron stuff. I saw some kind of clip where someone was like walking towards an X-wing.
Yeah, but
I don't know. X-wings are sweet, so we'll see. Thing is,
Kennedy's a part of this one too, so I don't care.
Now, what if they turn out to actually be good, though?
They won't be.
Will you give them at least a bit of a chance, or will you wait to hear like people's opinions of them?
Yeah, I'll just wait until people's opinions of them,
and then kind of go from there. So for me, this is more Star Wars content than I personally would ever want, and I really like Star Wars, but I'm also at the point. So Force Awakens came out, and I was like, oh, this is setting up an awful lot of cool stuff. I actually kind of like Star Wars again.
Sure.
I did not watch anything Star Wars related after I saw Force Awakens for a very long time, because I was like, you know what?
Sure.
It's been a long... Because I'm not a fan of the prequels. Like, just not a fan. Like they really soured me on Star Wars. So other than like some of the books, I didn't rewatch anything. That's why I didn't watch like Clone Wars or Rebels or any of that. I was like, nah, they ruined Star Wars for me. So now Mandalorian has come along, and it has made me like Star Wars again. So I'm back to that. Because like from what's it called, Force Awakens, I was like, oh, I like Star Wars again. So I held off, and then I watched the final 2 movies of the end of the trilogy part, and I really didn't care for those. I didn't think they were as bad as most people did, but I definitely wouldn't call it good. And then it put me back into Star Wars sucks. Mandalorian has brought me back up to Star Wars good. I'm probably not gonna watch, like, I'll watch it because it'd be something to talk about on the show, but I will be reluctant because it's like, man, if I'm left with a good taste from Mandalorian, I don't want to ruin it. So I'm gonna be super picky though, and just hope for the best.
Buddy, so here's what up. So this is the negative side here. So Arrow season 2 was really, really good.
And then
and then they're like, hey, we can make all kinds of movies and TV shows and spins off the Arrow universe. And then it sucked. I think that's where we're headed. I'm afraid.
Where they're going to steal everything.
Yeah.
Well, because, that was one of the big things, supposedly, is season 3 of Arrow was going to revolve around the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And then they basically took Suicide Squad from them. And we got what we got. It basically derailed everything and set in a horrible... That's how I like to think of it, at least, whether that's 100% true or not. Because Arrow was real good for the first 2 seasons.
First 2 seasons, it was Arrow, and then when it became Felicity and Friends,
right?
It just, I don't know, it's just dumb.
Yeah. So hopefully, like, season 3 of The Mandalorian, join Tim. Wait, what? And this other guy. You're like, wait, where's the Mandalorian?
Yes.
Mandalorian's not here. He's filming a movie now for The Mandalorian. Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Join this other guy. We did get the one commander dude from that one episode who used to have Boba Fett's armor. But he's actually playing another character now. So he's not even the same guy. Enjoy. Be like, wait a minute.
Yes.
So, like, that's the kind of thing that, like, I'm afraid of.
Yep, I am too.
Because I think, like we said it last season, it's like, well, season 1, season 2 are probably safe because they've probably already started on season 2 before they start getting all kinds of feedback and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then season 3 is where you start maybe getting weird stuff because they're listening to people. So what we need is...
I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I will.
Right. Yep. Well, we'll hope. But either way. So, and then there's a droid story. It's R2-D2 and C-3PO with a new hero. A secret that only droids know. So lighthearted. I have no idea. It's a film and not a show, so it's like a one shot.
Yeah.
I don't like C-3PO. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, I can't see me wanting to see this movie, TV series. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think at this point, we're just going to call this episode a Star Wars special.
Yes.
Where we where we praise some things and complain about some other stuff. So we'll put it in the show notes that we're not really touching on anything else wrestling related or anything, but there's just so much Star Wars stuff. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this week we'd talk about it.
I mean, we'll talk about like the one thing, like Sting spoke this week.
Yes.
Yes. From going through the world of the internet, people kind of forgot how Sting is. And I guess they wanted the Undertaker.
I guess, yeah.
Because it was like, well, that's, you basically got like Hawaiian Sting speaking, dressed as Crow Sting.
Yeah.
I really don't know what you were expecting. Other than him being quiet. When Eric Bischoff said that the most over Sting was when he didn't wrestle and he didn't talk. Like, there's a reason that worked well at the time.
Sure.
But yeah, still exciting. I like that he big-timed Cody, basically.
Yes.
Because someone's gotta. So we'll see. But, alright. Anything you want to add, Star Wars related?
No, I guess not. I wished Battlefield or Battlefront, whatever it's called, that video game was better than what it was.
That's the one where you're like the PvP game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of like it. Like, I've played it once or twice, but I just couldn't get into it because there's like the character progression, and I'm really bad at making times for a game, so I'm never going to grind out the stuff that makes it useful.
Sure.
So, all right. Well, we will call it there. We're not going to use any direct Star Wars quotes to end it because Disney. So, may the pushing of things be with you.
Yes.
I'm sure it's not that. As awesome, we would actually be better off if Disney targeted us for something, because we'd probably get publicity out of it and be better off for it, even if we got like a cease and desist.
Sure.
I'm just going to go back and just dub like episode 4 in the background of the entire thing.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.